ನೋವೆಲ್ ಕೊರೋನಾ ವೈರಸ್ ಹರಡುವುದನ್ನು ತಡೆಗಟ್ಟಬಹುದಾಗಿದೆ. ಕೆಮ್ಮುವಾಗ ಅಥವಾ ಸೀನುವಾಗ ಕರವಸ್ತ್ರ ಅಥವಾ ಟಿಶ್ಯೂನಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಬಾಯಿ ಮುಚ್ಚಿ. ಕೈಗಳನ್ನು ಆಗಾಗ ಸಾಬೂನು ಹಚ್ಚಿ ತೊಳೆಯುತ್ತಿರಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಣ್ಣು, ಮೂಗು, ಬಾಯಿಯನ್ನು ಮುಟ್ಟುತ್ತಿರಬೇಡಿ. ಕೆಮ್ಮು, ಜ್ವರ ಅಥವಾ ಉಸಿರಾಟದ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುತ್ತಿದ್ದರೆ ಅವರಿಂದ ಕನಿಷ್ಠ 1 ಮೀಟರ್ ದೂರದಲ್ಲಿರಿ. ಅಗತ್ಯವಿದ್ದರೆ ಸಮೀಪದ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಕೇಂದ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅಥವಾ
So this message actually used to be in English. Every time you would make a phone call, you would get a message about how to stop the coronavirus, and it was issued by the Indian Ministry of Health. Last Friday, it was also announced by the Karnataka government that all the major public places in Bangalore, like for instance the malls, the movie theaters, or pubs, would be shut down for a whole week. Also, weddings and major sporting events are not happening. Bangalore, or actually the Karnataka government, is taking very serious precautions. I wanted to make this video because obviously it is something that currently almost everybody in the world is dealing with, especially because we have this complete shutdown in Bangalore. I thought it might be insightful to show you the topics that I'm currently struggling with, because maybe they might help you if you are in quarantine or if you are going to be in quarantine in the future. In case you've been living under a rock, the coronavirus is a virus that for the first time spread across Wuhan in China, probably back in December already. It spread so fast and so easy that it actually caused the World Health Organization to by now declare it a pandemic, which means that too many people in the world in too short of a period of time have been infected with this virus. The major problem with this virus is actually that it spreads so easily and so fast, meaning that the hospitals might get flooded if too many people get infected too fast. If you're still wondering, well, why is this such a huge problem? Well, currently in Italy, where the whole country is on a complete lockdown and quarantine, doctors right now have to choose between which patients they are going to give medical help and which patients they have to see die before their eyes, because there's not enough medical equipment to obviously help too many people at the same time. That's why I feel the Karnataka government is taking such a good precaution by shutting all these big public places down and also canceling huge events where a lot of people might be infected at the same time. Obviously, this does have an impact on my life because for the next 2 weeks, probably, I'm going to be at home. I had another video planned for you guys today, which is absolutely amazing. I'm finally showing you the milk Maggi recipe with Saloni Srivastava, which is one of my friends and absolutely amazing YouTuber. But because of this whole coronavirus situation, I thought this right now might be a little bit more of a relevant video. So without further ado, let me tell you the topics that I'm struggling with right now, having to stay in the house for at least a week and probably for 2 weeks. The first problem is fresh water. Here in India, we cannot drink tap water. I'm also not really sure if it is safe to drink the tap water even if you boil it. So by now, because I moved into a new house, we still hadn't installed a water filter, which is something that you would normally have. We have 2 water filters in the house, but none of them have been installed properly. This is the water filter that is currently installed. Unfortunately, it is not working. Like, even if I open it, it's just empty. There's no water in here. It is connected to the water tap. It is plugged into the power. The power is also working, but unfortunately, somehow it just doesn't want to fill up. So I hope the installer guy will come today and we at least have the water sorted. I think today the installer guy is coming, and obviously we are going to keep a very safe distance, but the water filter needs to be installed. By now, we have just been ordering large bottles of water. I know it is very bad for the environment, but like I said, we cannot drink the tap water, so without a water filter, I was forced to do that. However, with this whole shutdown of Bangalore, I was getting quite scared that maybe delivery services, like for instance Amazon, Big Basket, Dunzo or even Swiggy might stop working, and then how do I get water? Because me going to the grocery store is obviously also a risk. So I just hope the water filter gets installed really fast and I don't have to worry about the water situation anymore. The second thing that might become a struggle, especially looking at this video that a Dutch lady who is currently in Italy filmed and shared online.
Jullie moeten geen zorgen maken over de boodschappen. Dat wordt allemaal weer netjes aangevuld. Dat zou geen probleem zijn. Het probleem is het volgende. De lange wachtrijden voordat jullie naar binnen mogen in de winkel. Dat gaat er gebeuren. Dat de ingang gelimiteerd wordt, zoals hier in Italië. Dan mag je maar 1 gezinslid, dus per gezin, mag boodschappen doen. Dus maar 1 persoon per winkelwagentje. De wachttijden zijn lang. Ik was vanmorgen boodschappen gaan doen en ik was dus al om 5:30 mijn bed uitgegaan. Ik stond al om 7 uur voor de deur bij de winkel. Die ging om 7:30 open. En ik had gelukkig nog maar 15 mensen voor me, maar ik ging er dus pas om 8 uur in. En toen ik om 8 uur erin ging, was bij mij, achter mij, een rij van, ik zal niet overdrijven, maar van 800 meter tot 1 kilometer lang.
Is food. People in Italy are still allowed in supermarkets, but apparently the lines are more than a kilometers long, even very early in the morning. And right now the situation is as such that they're only letting in 2 people at the same time in the grocery store. Yes, I'm coughing a little bit. I hope I don't have coronavirus. I genuinely also don't know where to get tested, but because I don't want to take up capacity of the medical system that other people might need a lot more than me. I also don't want to go to the hospital or to a doctor. I'll just self-quarantine. By the way, you shouldn't cough like this. Cough in your elbow or in a tissue or something like that. Anyways, again, looking at the situation that delivery services like, for instance, Swiggy, Dunzo, Amazon, or Big Basket might stop, we definitely needed a little stash of food that might last us at least for 2 weeks, but perhaps also a month, depending on how much food we eat. So this is our little stash. So we have how much liters of oil? Seriously, this is my war PTSD. This is 3 liters. Oil was one of the scarcest things during the war in the Balkan. So I said we need to have oil. Then we have about 10 kg of rice. This is 1 kg. Yeah, you see, it's all rice, and over here we have some dal. It's mostly rice and dal because we will be able to live on that, and it's nutritious food. Rice and dal is a good nutritious meal. See, it's all rice, and dal. This is our food stash that we currently have. Obviously some Maggi. We need to have Maggi. We have more rice over here. We have more dal over here. Different types of dal. We have a big bag of oatmeal. Some maida or flour actually. Some sugar. I don't know if this is going to be enough for us. More masala. Maggi. Noodles. Those kind of things. And then over here some onions and garlic. Obviously this wouldn't be enough, but I guess this will last us 2 weeks. Some sweet potatoes over here. And then let me show you what we have in the fridge. A lot of lemons because I was making lemon curd and I thought I needed a lot more lemons. We have some ketchup, a lot of pickles, some fresh vegetables, not too much because honestly you cannot stock up for that for 2 weeks unless you freeze everything. And then we have some milk and some curd and some zucchinis because those keep well for quite a long time. I guess this should last us for the week, something like that. Obviously it is really not cool to hoard too much because other people need food as well. So this is a stash that might last me and my roommate for, I guess, a month. Something like that, 3 meals a day. We should be able to get through that. It is just the basics. I think we still need to order some biscuits to have with chai, and actually also tea, so we can make tea ourselves. I know this sounds very lavish, but we order out a lot, which might not be possible in a couple of weeks. So if you are thinking about self-quarantine, or if you are in quarantine, it definitely pays to have a stash of food that will last you 2 weeks up to a month, so you don't have to deal with full supermarkets and again taking the risk of maybe getting sick yourself or infecting other people. Some other groceries that might be really important, and this is the third thing that I'm thinking of getting a stash of, is obviously soap, because we need to wash our hands very often during the day. Sometimes honestly in one wash session I will wash my hands 3 times. This because you're actually supposed to like scrub and wash your hands for 20 to 30 seconds for them to become really clean. But for me, when I do that with just one soap session, it doesn't feel necessarily clean immediately. So I will wash my hands quite quickly the first session, and then the second session, and then the third session, and then I feel quite clean. So obviously we are going to need quite a stash of soap. I think regular soap bars are perfectly fine and they're quite disinfecting. If you are using disinfectant, please note that it needs to have an alcohol percentage of over 60% for it to be actually disinfecting your hands. If you're thinking of making your own DIY disinfectant, also please note that the alcohol percentage should be over 90%, because if you're going to add things like aloe vera or things like that, you might dilute the alcohol too much, so it's not disinfecting anymore. One other thing that you also definitely want to think about are things like toothpaste, because again, that's groceries, and laundry detergent, because the virus can also get on your clothes, and if you're touching your face too much and touching your clothes, you still might infect yourself if you're not washing your clothes properly. That's also a thing. The washing machine still hasn't been installed. It has been here for a long time, but after inspection it turned out that the washing machine was broken. So I'm really hoping that the washing machine will arrive today and they can install it so I can have clean clothes. Yeah, I know it's crazy, but when you're moving apartments like I just recently did, these kind of things usually take time. And then this whole virus pandemic situation happened, and then the city was shut down. So these things for me still haven't been regulated or figured out. I hope in your home that it is. But if you weren't aware that the virus can also spread from your clothes, I hope I shared some information with you. The good thing about India is that we don't have to stock up on toilet paper, and above all else, we're not those a-holes who would take away all the toilet paper. But we do have some toilet paper stash just in case. In India, we primarily use hygienic washroom showers. I heard that's the proper name for it. So that's a good thing, but we still also sometimes have toilet paper. So I do have that here. Obviously, soap everywhere. Soap. Gotta wash your hands. Please don't look at my disgusting nails. I'm growing them out, but yeah, soap everywhere. And then the fourth thing that obviously is very important if I want to keep making videos for you guys, but also have some entertainment, is internet. Currently we have a Geo device which has 10 GB of data a day. I think that should be enough, but sometimes the Wi-Fi is a little bit glitchy, I have to say, so it's not the fastest, especially if I need to download certain things. This is the current Geo device. It is really nice, but as you can see, the reach and the reception changes depending on where I am in the house. Sometimes it also changes with open and closed doors. It is not the optimal solution, but I guess it works for now. See, it just keeps constantly changing in terms of reception and no reception. I also have 2 GB of data per day on my phone, but Vodafone is not having the best reception in Bangalore these days. Obviously, internet is super important if you want to work from home, but also to keep in touch with your friends and family, because it's not the best decision right now to visit them. My parents live in the Netherlands. My brother lives in Hong Kong, in case you don't know. And I'm just sending messages with them and sharing pictures. Also, my friends, my best friends from the Netherlands and actually all over the world, I just need internet to keep in touch with them. So if you are on a limited data package right now and might be dealing with the Bangalore lockdown or might have a quarantine waiting for you because a lot of people are just dealing with this overnight, you might also want to think about getting a proper data package so you can still keep in touch with your friends and family. But also if you want to work from home, that also won't be an issue for you, the internet. The final thing, obviously, as a travel vlogger that I'm dealing with is that I can't travel right now. And in that department, I kind of got lucky, very lucky health-wise, because I was supposed to be in China in the 3rd week of January. Luckily for me, the agency who was organizing that, they canceled it. And then in the 3rd week of January, I read that the first Indian patient who was fighting for her life in China was in that city where I was supposed to be. So I was just thanking the universe that I wasn't there. Also, I took a call myself to not travel to the US at the end of February. I had an option to go to the US and I said no. I said no, first of all, because of immigration regulations that I'm again dealing with. Every 6 months I have to renew my registration here in India, and you're not allowed to travel during that time. So that's what I'm currently doing. But also why I chose not to go. First of all, because it would mean that maybe upon return I would not be allowed to enter India, which is like one of the biggest nightmares for me. I get homesick if I'm away from India for 2 weeks. That's how much I love the country. And then the second reason, if you get infected and have to go to the hospital, obviously you don't want to go to a foreign hospital. You want to be in your own country. At least that's what I think. And the third reason, if you have to self-quarantine, it's not cool to be stuck in some kind of hotel. And I just took that decision upon myself to not go, because if I have to quarantine like now, I would rather be in my own home. I would rather sleep in my own bed, be in a city that I know like the back of my hand, and not be in a foreign country. I do have some friends currently who are traveling.
Hey guys, it's Kritika and I'm in Boston right now. I'm cooped up in a hotel room, as you can see. The situation here is actually pretty bad. Everything is shut down. All the touristy places are shut. Restaurants are also closed today. I think there's only pickup today onwards, and I just want to advise anyone who's planning a trip, who has trips booked already and don't know what to do, to just cancel all your travel plans, because as much as I love traveling and I tell people to travel, this is really not a good time to be traveling. We're dealing with a pandemic right now, so yeah, I think the best thing to do is stay at home as much as possible, isolate yourselves, keep yourselves safe, wash your hands, stay hygienic, and for now, I think traveling is not the best thing to be doing. My flights also have been getting cancelled. I'm trying to get back to India. I had a return flight which got cancelled. I booked another one that's been cancelled too. So I'm just trying to figure out a way to get back to India as soon as possible. Hopefully, I booked another flight. Hopefully that will not get cancelled. So yeah, learn from my situation. Please don't be traveling at this time, and I hope you all stay safe.
So if you have travel plans, really think about it, because it might mean that you will get into some serious trouble abroad, which you might not think about in the first place. But I hope with sharing this knowledge with you, you can make a better decision for yourself. If you were expecting me to go outside and film empty streets in Bangalore or closed malls, I hope in the future you have some higher expectations of me. I feel right now that is very much an a-hole thing to do. You are risking getting infected yourself, or if you are already infected, you are risking getting other people infected. I saw a video back in January of a news reporter who was in Wuhan and made a video about getting out on the last train before the quarantine. Honestly, it just looked like such a silly thing to do, because you're literally risking of spreading the infection to other countries and to other people, making them sick and risking other people's lives. The biggest misconception I think about this virus, if I'm allowed to share my thoughts, is that just because it is fatal in only 2% of the cases, it is not a bad thing. The reality is that the biggest threat of this virus is the speed and ease with which it infects other people. So it might not be fatal to you, but elderly people, like for instance my parents or maybe your grandparents, because of people going out and spreading it so fast, the virus might reach them. Whereas if you just choose to self-quarantine, we might save some lives here and not put too much pressure on the medical system, which is again problem number 2. If too many people get sick at the same time, the medical system is not prepared for that. I've also written the 3 most common misconceptions about this virus on my Instagram post. So if you want to check that out, I have linked that Instagram post down in the description below so you have some more information. Obviously, it is not the best thing to spend 2 weeks inside, or maybe for some people it is a very welcome break. I read something on Instagram that I feel applies so much here. Our grandparents were asked to go to war. The only thing that we have to do right now is sit on the couch. I don't think that's too much to ask looking at what the previous generations have done for us. Something also very personal that I wanted to touch upon very briefly. This whole situation of staying inside and dealing with maybe a lack of water and food has actually brought up some light PTSD symptoms for me from back in the war. In case you don't know, I am a refugee. I was born in former Yugoslavia. Because of the Balkan War, we had to go to the Netherlands, and I gained Dutch nationality through naturalization. As a child, I never experienced it as anything bad. I remember us being bombed and the whole building shaking, and we were sitting in the basement. I wasn't scared at all. I'm kind of getting chills even thinking about that. But now thinking back on those days where we suddenly had to stay inside, we as children were not allowed to play outdoors anymore. Foods like, for instance, flour, oil, or sugar suddenly becoming very scarce. I honestly think they were at one point more valuable than gold. It's making me quite anxious. I'm having trouble sleeping. I'm having so many flashbacks. But at the same time, I definitely also know this is the best that I can do to help prevent the spread of this virus. So I hope with this video I have also given you an insight that no, it's definitely not easy staying at home, but I definitely do think it's easier than what the medical staff is going through right now in the medical institutions, or what our grandparents had to do. So please stay safe, please be responsible, please don't take any unnecessary risks, and I hope this video may have helped you to prepare a little bit more if you are self-quarantining or if you have that ahead of you. If you would like to see more of my videos, amongst which finally the milk Maggie recipe next week, make sure to subscribe to my channel, make sure to click the little bell icon to get the notifications whenever I post a new video, and make sure to put a thumbs up if this video was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!